Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 122. This
122.
This week, Dave and I are here to save your calorie Christmas. We talk about banking calories and how it can be a way that you can manage.
Grinch that stole the calories.
Is that me or you?
It could be both of us.
Both of us. We're both Grinches. The Grinches that are here to save your calories. But essentially, the tool that I teach every single client that I work with, that they can manage holidays, vacations, anniversaries, birthdays, whatever the thing is, this is the tool that will allow you to still live a quote-unquote normal life and manage progress longer term. Plus some reviews from Dave and a potential surprise. Ben's going on at that, but you're going to have to listen to that one. You know that there has had to have been some sacrifice, whether it's time or nutrition or whatever it is.
I was recording of myself talking about having a relationship with my chest.
I'm Ben Canning.
I'm Dave Kennedy.
And this is Hacking Health Podcast. I have no idea. Again, I have no idea what episode it is. But anyway, welcome back. At this point, you guys listening will know what episode it is. Just
you know more than us.
Dave don't know. So welcome back.
Welcome back, everybody. And you know more than us. That's for sure.
Yes. Good. What's going on?
Listen, I'm getting pretty deep into this bulk. I'm in the 250s, which is by far the heaviest I've ever been. So I'm getting ready to tap out here soon. Luckily, I got one more month to go, really. And I'm getting tired of eating food. And my relationship with food has completely changed to something completely different, to where I'm despising it. But it's been good. Having a lot of strength gains, and I don't. Have we had a podcast since I hit my 600-pound deadlift? I don't know if we have.
I don't
think we did.
I have absolutely no. I mean, the listeners will know, so you can let us know whether you've heard this story or not. But we'll talk about it.
I finally hit my 600-pound deadlift. And,
do you know what I'll say as well? Like, it was a Saturday. Wasn't it? It was a Saturday.
It was a Saturday, yes.
And you texted me and you were like, today's the day. It was like you already knew. Before you even entered the gym, you already knew.
I woke up knowing it was going to happen. Like, it was just one of those days where I felt good. My back was great. My legs were great.
The stars had aligned.
I was energetic, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to do this. I'm not going to even, and I just kind of like circled around the bar, went to it, knocked it out, and that was it. And, it wasn't the greatest form. I was, definitely doing a little bit of twerking as I would in my.
It's okay. It's okay. You can ask Twitter. Everybody on Twitter definitely let you know about that.
I swear to God, these unsolicited more feedback people are going to be the end of my existence. My favorite is I did a post yesterday, and I said this is where I came from, and it was you had sent me the video of when I did a 125-pound deadlift, and 3 years ago, a little bit over 3.5 years ago, and I posted, this is where I'm at today, and everybody's like, or there was two people specifically. It was just two out of, obviously hundreds, but like, one person was like, oh, I'd rather see you do, 505, perfectly than an ego lift. I'm like, oh, you guys have no idea what the hell you're talking about. This is my 1 rep max, you guys. I'm like,
I actually was tempted to just post the video that you sent me at the weekend of the, okay, here's 505 for 5.
Here's 505. There you go. Yeah. It's just, these folks are the same folks that go to the gym every single day and, or don't go at all, by the way. And critique other folks and, are the same that they've ever, always been there in their whole lives and not pushing themselves. And, what they don't realize is that, it was a controlled fashion. I've been training for it and everything else that goes along with it. And it was done very safely. I have zero issues. I feel great. In fact, had an amazing lift session Saturday for legs, and I did some push on Sunday, and things are perfect. So I mean, obviously I'm doing it wrong because I'm going up in weight. I'm the strongest I've ever been. My health and my vitals are great. I have no injuries, so I'm obviously doing it wrong.
Yeah, it sounds like you're doing it completely fucking backwards.
Dude, it's so
absolutely no idea what you're doing.
Well, I think that's the difference is that people don't understand is like my goals are different than theirs, right? Yeah. And my goals are to continuously push myself to a different level to see how far I can take it. I've never gone this far before in my life, and I'm enjoying it. And I've been injury free relatively. Yes, I've tweaked the back here or there, but nothing ever serious. Lifting, and as long as I stay healthy and as long as I can keep pushing up, I mean, why wouldn't I continue to try to progress further, add more muscle mass, and get the bigger that I have? And I'm getting Aaron's like, oh my gosh, look at who I have to come home to, and I have the strong dude, and it's a great time. So, people are just, locked in their own ways, have their own, specifics. And then, it's funny, I blocked blocked both of them, and I just happened to like check just the responses back, and they're all of course butthurt that I blocked them, and I'm like, dude, just don't be an a-hole. Like, you can be like, hey,
actually what it's like, and this, I mean, this is not something we've touched on before, but it's like, imagine I was on Twitter and I was like, oh, I can't believe you're just fucking sitting around the sofa like that. Like, that's a fucking disgrace. It's like, what gives people the right to comment on it?
It makes no sense whatsoever. Listen, if the guy had said something to the fact of like, congratulations on hitting a milestone. This is definitely not the way that I train. However, it's so cool that you're able to do that. Like, different story, right? Like, okay, non-confrontational and no big deal. But instead it's like, oh, you should be doing, 505 for more reps. And, I'm like, you're not my trainer. Get out of here. Like, get out of here. So I don't know. I blocked it too. And I my New Year's resolution is, instead of just responding back, because there's no helping these folks. Like, I've tried explaining in positive ways, and they're not going to change, what they think. They're stuck at doing 135-pound deadlifts the rest of their lives. So, I'm just going to go and block and move on. Who cares?
Yeah. It's the thing from Matilda. It's like, I'm right, you're wrong, I'm big, you're small, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Right. Listen, and if it was just, common, discussions, that's different. There's a difference between being a dick and not being a dick. So anyways, that's that. But yeah, I'm good. How was something going with you, dude?
Do you know what? Like, there's a big part of me, like, almost like a protective element that wants to get involved. I'm like, I'm also don't want to get involved, because the guy commented like, but the guy commented like, I might sound like an ass. And I was like, yes, you did. Like, if you're going to start a comment like that, you probably just shouldn't say it at all, but whatever. Anyway, how's things going with me? Things are good, dude. What is going on with me? Lots of everything and nothing. I've been on my cut, yes. Do you know what? So obviously I've been doing daily vlogs today, and it was Harper's birthday yesterday, and I just had pizza and cake all day because it was her birthday and that's what she wanted to do, and that was fine. I was like, I'm going to record a video today on like, almost like proving a point that, if you eat like this one day, you are going to be heavier, and sort of explaining why, and explaining about the food being in my system. And if I handed you a plate of food, you'd be heavier, and blah, blah, blah. And obviously fucking weighed myself this morning and was lighter. I was like, okay, well, that's that content out the fucking window.
Good.
Yeah.
History of science.
yeah. But no, it's good. I mean, I feel like the past 3 weeks have been, there's been a lot on. It's been like challenging. There's been events. There's been things on. I've had travel. I've obviously had, I was out with Helmy for our staff night out, mine and Helmy's staff night out, on Friday. And actually funny, we went to a steak restaurant, and Helmy, like, he was like, yeah, can we get the Chateaubriand, like the Sharon steak, obviously? And he was like, have it sides, blah, blah, blah. And the guy was like, anything else? I was like, can I get the same? It's like, he was like, we want one each? I was like, yeah, of course.
Yeah. Wouldn't I do too?
Yeah. But I think there's just been a lot on with travel and whatever else, and I've still been able to make progress, but I just haven't been able to make it at the rate that I would like to. So obviously we have this week Christmas, and then I have pretty much free run right up until Phoenix. So it's 10 weeks tomorrow, which is, I mean, still plenty of time to get it done. But I think I've done about maybe 12 pounds in the past 3 weeks, which, I mean, it's fine. Good, we're making progress. But I will get back to my check-ins. I know I did say that the other day, and I haven't been doing my check-ins. So while I can crack up with clients not doing their check-ins, you can feel free to crack up at me for not doing my check-ins.
You've not been.
But you didn't do yours either.
I also didn't do mine last week either. So this is 1 week I didn't do mine. Just 1 week.
Okay, so we'll get better. We'll get better at doing check-ins.
It's funny. So last Wednesday I got to fly to DC to do. So Kevin Mitnick won the Difference Maker Award for Lifetime Achievement. And obviously Kevin had passed away from pancreatic cancer earlier this year, and he was one of my best friends. And so, it's funny. I went to go give the talk, and I had one of my friends, Amit Serper. He actually recited some Hebrew for me that, I had to repeat on stage, and I totally fucked it up. Like I tried so many times to like, I had the pronunciation perfect, and I got off the stage, and I don't get nervous, but having to speak on behalf of somebody else and their
in a different language,
and then also like recount all the good things and not make it about me, but make it more about the person. But the only way that I could relate to that and make it that person was sharing my experiences with the person, right? And they're kind of their things. And so I got up on stage, and I have never been so nervous my entire life. and I was sweating it, but I got it off and it went well. And but it was good up there to see everybody, and of course, I got probably 15 or 20 comments about how jacked I was and big, from all my good friends, and it's always good to catch up with some folks. But but I didn't do my check-in that day.
You did not.
And you did tell me get your check-in.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to, and I did not do it. So
no, you said I'll have it today, and you didn't have it today.
You're right. You're 100% right. I have no excuse. But I also, when the day that I got home, I got this awesome tattoo right here. So
plenty of time while you're getting tattooed to fill your check-in. Like,
you can't do the check-in when you're getting a tattoo. Like I got like one hand over here. I got one hand type my check-in. Do my progress photos as I have it do, like my arm.
Sorry,
up,
dude. Can you just stop for a second and take this?
You got a lot of tattoos. What was the longest tattoo you ever gotten? Like how long?
My whole sleeve took.
Did you do it one sitting?
No.
Okay. In one sitting, how long has it been?
8 hours.
Okay, I was at 6. So
I think that I've realized there was maybe 2 or 3 sittings in this that were 8 hours, and a couple were 7 and a couple were 6. Whenever I was getting my leg done, I think that I realized like 6 is round about where I start to get a bit like antsy. I'm like, I just need this to be over.
It's funny you mentioned that. So I hit 6 hours and I started getting uncomfortable.
Yeah,
like physically uncomfortable, and I was still gonna go. I just wanted to finish it.
Yeah,
and he's like, I gotta stop for now.
Yeah.
Like, okay,
but even I have found there's some tattoo artists, they will only tattoo for so long as well. So the guy that did my sleeve, he was like, I don't tattoo for any longer than 7 hours anymore because it's not negative, but it's just like it starts to get worse for him as well. But I think the thing about it is it's the sitting in the one spot, especially with my leg, like it was brutal, and especially you're on the go all the time, and then having to actually sit down and not do anything for a long period of time is hard.
For sure. Yeah. Well,
but I mean, I got this one when I was in Manchester, and it took a guy about 20 minutes, so I'm more in for those ones than sitting for 7 hours.
Yeah, for sure. Well, so I got the tattoo done, which I did not get my check in, but I will say since the last podcast, my sleep has been completely corrected. So my sleep is back to normal. It was iron. So, I definitely recommend to folks to get your micronutrient testing done and see what your ferritin levels are at and things like that, especially if you're having trouble sleeping. It was like restless leg, and finally got it looked at, and but the thing that I guess that caught me the biggest off of it was I started taking iron and I still had really crummy sleep. And I explained that to the doctor. Doctor's like, well, it takes 3 to 6 weeks for you to rebuild your ferritin levels to a normal level. I'm like, well,
taking this one tablet and I'm not fixed. Like, what the fuck? This is bullshit.
And I'm in the gym all the time. Why is my iron levels not high? It's
I'm around iron all the time.
I'm on iron all day long. Like I'm in iron right now. Like we're talking, and I'm around iron right now. But no, it's good to finally be able to sleep normal. So like I literally fall asleep, and I actually got this new thing. It's a blanket that's called grounding. You're familiar with the technique of grounding? So there's a lot of science behind this. In some cases, it's kind of sporadic. There's over like 60 studies out, but they're relatively small control studies. And what it is that, there's a thought pattern and belief that when you are touching the earth with your bare feet, it's a neutral, right? And your body is obviously energy. So it's essentially grounding you out. And what they've actually shown is people that do grounding have less inflammation, a lot of anti-inflammatory, as well as energy increases based on your body's ability to naturally ground itself out on the floor. Now, it might sound crazy, but there is some data behind this that looks somewhat promising. So they have these neutral blankets that simulate essentially grounding. And I tried it actually for the first time last night. And it's probably one of the best sleeps I've ever had. And one thing I'll say is my HRV shot up higher than I've ever seen it before.
Oh, yeah?
So, yeah, it could have just been a fluke. I'm not, just one day. One day is not a good.
No, it's one day, one person. That's the study. The study, it's a success.
Everybody, it works. Yeah. Settled, it works. But it's actually interesting. You plug it into, so it's got copper wiring all through the sheet. And then there's a small plug that actually plugs into your wall, but it's only the neutral part of your wall because obviously your house is grounded to the earth and into a ground. And so it's actually using the natural ground in your outlets to be the ground for the grounding. And again, like I said, there's some decent studies on this. And so we'll see how that goes. But I had my first grounding sheets, which I thought was interesting.
I want to know who's sitting around going, I have a good invention to make. We'll make a grounding blanket. Like what?
Yeah, there's a grounding blanket and a grounding pillowcase. I haven't done the pillowcase yet, just the sheet. But I slept. I'll tell you, like didn't have to pee like 6 times in the night. I actually, since I've gotten the iron thing taken care of, I haven't do that at all. But it's interesting because I did sleep way better than I ever have in the past few weeks. But I've had really shit sleep, so it's not hard to beat that. So
be interesting to get your bloods done again now that you feel like your iron levels back to normal. See where they're at.
Yeah, actually, she ordered me a new panel, so I have to go get that done in. I think the 1st of January or like the first week in January is when she wanted me to go get it done. So I'll get those done and make sure my ferritin levels are up. But she said that actually absorption wise, I should be doing it every other day versus every day. And there's a certain dosage that you should be taking of it. And there's a certain type of iron that you should be taking that's easiest to digest in your body and that they've done most of the studies off of. I'll find it here in a second. But it's a certain type of iron that you want to be taking every day that is different than, I guess, traditional iron. So it's called ferrous sulfate is the type of iron. It's elemental iron, and they want you taking like basically 65 milligrams of elemental iron a day just to kind of keep the levels up. But yeah, back to normal.
Cool. I get my bloods done on Wednesday. I think the girl's coming out to take them. So it'll be interesting to see. The last time I got them done, my cholesterol was all over the place. So it'll be interesting to see making the changes that I did, where things will be at. So tune in for that.
Yeah, and before we get into today's topic, I did want to do a shout out to a really cool piece of equipment that I was able to get.
Not a grounding blanket.
Not a grounding blanket. So obviously, if you listen to a lot of these podcasts before, I've talked about the tonal, which I've been a huge advocate of and huge fan of for a number of years. And tonal is a phenomenal piece of equipment. Like I got nothing bad to say about it, but the only limitation that I really don't like is that it has 100 pounds per arm. And plus, you obviously have to pay the subscription. So I think it's like, I want to say it's like $4,500 for the actual equipment, but it's a full gym. Smart gym hooks up, has trainers, things like that. And then you have to pay like $80 a month for the subscription, which is pretty pricey. If you think about it. That's more than a full-time gym membership if you think about the numbers. And so there's this new piece of equipment that just came out. It's from a company called Beyond Power, and they have this thing called the Vultra One, and it's this small box. It's like the size of a brick, basically. And what's neat about this is that I have 2 of them, and it hooks up to my rack. So it actually hooks up to my Rogue half rack that I have, and it hooks into the sides, basically where the holes are at that you would put, safety bars or safety straps, things like that. And it's adjustable, so it's like a little clamp, and they engineered this thing really amazing. But it's like a clamp that goes onto this, and it allows you to move it up and down the full range of motion of the front pillars of your rack. And it has a little like clamp that goes onto this box, and it's a smart box that it's running Android OS. It hooks up with your Wi-Fi. It has an app, and it does resistance weight up to 200 pounds per arm. But it essentially turns your entire rack into a smart rack, into a smart tonal, basically. And so you can obviously put any attachment you want to on there. You can do lat pull downs, bicep curls, tricep extensions. So the need of not having any type of weight stacks or any type of weird pulleys, it completely replaces any complexity or need to really add any type of super expensive modifications or get additional gym equipment. And I will tell you, like, I was skeptical going into this. The engineering and how good the equipment works just blew my mind. It's solid. It is great. It's and they run $2,000 per box, basically. So, if you think about it, if you want to get 2 boxes, if you want to do like, dual lat pull downs or dual bicep curls at the same time, you can obviously do one at a time, do one arm. So you don't need, and honestly, if it's 200 pounds, if you're not hitting that on a lat pull down, you can easily get away with one of those. It's going to be $4,000, but there's no subscription. It comes with an app. It has a lot of different modes. One of my favorite modes on tonal is eccentric mode, which is, as you go up concentrically, it's going to be lighter weight. And as you go down, it's going to shoot up the weight substantially so that, you're building the most amount of muscle in your downward motion, and you can hold, much higher weights at a higher capacity, thus getting you stronger and also building muscle at the same time. It has those modes on it. It has chains mode. It has resistance band mode, so it feels like you're using resistance bands. It's just an amazing piece of tech that I was truly impressed with, and I was coming into it very skeptical with. But it literally changed my entire, my entire Rogue rack into a full-fledged weight stack, full gym. So if you just have a rack and you want to add this to supplement, I mean, 200 pounds per arm, you're never going to go above that on your arms. I mean, maybe on
Challenge accepted.
deadlifts. Right. Yeah, but I mean, you think about it, you can do squats, you can do deadlifts, you can do goblet squats, all of those Bulgarian split squats. Like it can literally replace everything that you would need in a gym. And if you think about that, for $2,000, that's a pretty cheap piece of equipment in general, right?
Yeah, I think I'm just having a look at it here online. I think the thing about it is the size and compact. And I know a lot of people have looked at the tonal, and one thing they weren't able to get was because it didn't have the right wall, or it needs to be mounted a certain way, or whatever else. So from a space saving perspective, like the thing's fucking tiny for what it is. And as you said, there's no limitations in terms of like the total weight that you can use. So I think definitely if the people are looking at that, it's definitely a better option in terms of if you do have a rack and what you can actually do with it. And I think the way that I would view that, it's like, how many different movements and exercises can I do, and how many other pieces of equipment would that be, and what would that cost in terms of the actual pieces of equipment and the space? It's a no-brainer in terms of on the investment side of it.
Yeah, and that's the thing I think that was kind of mind-blowing to me is how easy, like I literally set this thing up in less than 3 minutes. It was like this little clasp, and you push it around your rack, and then you just tighten it, and then it moves up and down the whole rack stack, front-facing pillars. And
the
then
same way that you would move like on a cable machine, you just put the thing
cable machine, 100%, exact same. Because it's got the pin that goes in, you just remove the pin, it clips out, and you just move it up and down. And
even for different sizes of racks as well. I'm looking at the different. You can get it set for different.
The part about it is it has like a turn lever on it that has like a bracket that makes it adjust to the right size of the pillar. So if your pillar is a different size, it'll go to that specific. They've literally thought of every configuration, and they also do the 5/8 holes and the 1 inch.
Mm-hmm.
So you're able to like get into like the different size racks. Like Rogue Monster Light has the smaller holes versus like the traditional ones that have like the much larger 1 inch holes. So I mean, it configures to each of those sizes, and then it also has a pull-up bar attachment as well, where it'll hook up to the pull-up bar. And obviously, if you want to do like lat pull downs from a high position, you can do all of those, or assisted. What's even nice is you can take the attachment, put it onto a belt, and have assisted pull-ups. So it's really well thought out, and the resistance works both on eccentric and concentric. So it's going to, and it's like, when you do like a rope, as you come up from the top, it's going to be a little bit lighter, and as you get down to the bottom, and as you get to the very bottom, it's lighter as well. So it's kind of like the heaviest, and it's kind of its middle spots, right? When the weight stack's kind of hitting in those areas. This is heavy all the way through, like the exact weight from the very top to the very bottom to the very middle. It is, really challenging the entire time. So, for me, it was one of those things where, I went into it very skeptical. I was like, I'm probably not going to use this, but it's cool to check it out and give it a good review on. And it's actually going to become something that I use on a regular basis within my gym, because it literally, the battery life from my testing, if I use it for, let's just say, an hour a day, it'll last me almost 365 days.
Holy
just
shit.
on one charge. Yeah. So just on the percentages that I was able to do. So I don't know if that's true or not, if it gets lower, but I mean, it literally has a massive battery in it. It's not, you're not gonna have charge quick, and it's USB-C. And what's nice about it is if you want to take it to a gym, like you could bring this to a gym just in a small bag. Like it's this big with a little bracket on it, and you can go to a rack and put that on and have the exact same capabilities as you would, a full weight stack. So, I mean, it's portable. So if you're on vacation, like those types of things, like I was just really impressed by the whole situation. I mean, I'll take this actually onto, with me when I go on vacation now, because I can just hook it up to anything I need to get, full body workout on it, which is neat.
Nice, cool. And actually, just having a look here, they have an option for a mini rack. So it's like one pillar for the rack that you can attach to the wall. So if you don't have a full rack and you need something to attach it to, they have the option for that too. Definitely well thought out. I'll drop a link somewhere in the show notes or somewhere. There'll be a link somewhere if you can find it.
Yep.
Cool. Right. So today, what are we talking about?
Well, I think it's the holiday time frames, right? And
It is, and
time
this is going out tomorrow, so it's just actually, if you listen to this on the day that it comes out, it's perfect timing. We're here to save your calorie Christmas. Ben and Dave save calorie Christmas again.
Ho ho ho! Here to save your calorie Christmas, everybody. Santa Claus here.
It's actually funny. So I'll give Ryan the credit for this because we were having a conversation a couple of weeks ago. He said you should do a Christmas calorie banking video, like for YouTube, like YouTube videos. Like, cool, right? Let's do it. So he comes around last Thursday, and honestly, I also spent 45 minutes trying to set up a camera, like a top-down camera here, so I could draw on the iPad, and then a second camera here so they could record. Setup was perfect. Recorded the video. He got home and it was like, the card's corrupt. And I was like, fuck's sake. He's like, we could do this, we could do this. I was like, there's no point because there'd be so many different things to try and match up. And he's away. He's away to France or something, I think, with his family this week. So we can do it here. We can share the information here. We're going to talk about calorie banking and what the fuck that means. And I will also say, calorie banking is not just for Christmas. It is for life. It is a tool that you can use for any event, family, vacation, holiday, whatever the thing is. This is the thing in the structure and the framework that will allow you to live a normal life, still manage progress, still be able to eat donuts, eat pizza, do whatever the fuck you want, and still make progress.
Or if you're doing the Dave Kennedy plan, you're already eating 4,000 calories anyway, so it doesn't even matter. I don't even have to bank anything. You can just do whatever the hell you want to.
Not everybody is.
You can eventually
so the situation that I'm in, because I'm fucking banking calories. So this week I will be buying calories.
You're banking calories like a mofo right now. Yes, you are.
So the concept of banking. I mean, I'll let you explain because you've been doing this for a long time. There's no point in coming from me.
Oh my gosh, you're way better than this.
No.
So the apprentice will teach what he learned from the master here, from Ben, because the whole banking calories definitely was something that I got incorporated into my training program when I first started with Ben on this. And I was on low calories at one point in time, eons ago, thousands of years ago, when I started this, but a different time, a different place. But what you're trying to accomplish, and let's just start from the very basic groundwork here, is that you've heard us talk in this podcast. You're just listening. Welcome. That we have what's called a total daily energy expenditure. At the end of the day, our bodies consume calories. That's it. It's calories in versus calories out. It's thermogenics. It's a combination of fats, carbohydrates, and proteins. And there's a little bit more to it. Like certain things take a little bit more calories to burn and blah, blah, blah. So it's not a direct one-to-one all the time. And certain foods may have more of a different effect on your GI. But at the end of the day, let's just say you burn 2,000 calories a day. And that's what you eat, and you stay at the same level of weight. Now, if you want to gain weight, and there is a lot of studies that show, and there's a podcast we did a couple times ago, just actually talking about the latest research on this, but the most ideal place to be at to build muscle is either going to be at a maintenance or a slight surplus. So a little bit above what you burn on a daily basis, which means you will start to gain weight. Now, when you're gaining weight, you're gaining muscle. So you can expect to add, 1 to 2 pounds of muscle per month on average. And that's, the ideal situation there. That's the best, unless you're taking other things. And the byproduct of that will be fat because your body has a surplus of calories. So you will add additional fat, which means that as you're gaining muscle, you will have a little bit of byproduct of fat. Right now, I'm still relatively lean, but I definitely have some noticeable body fat that I've been adding that is starting to freak me out a little bit. So that's why in February I can't wait to do this cut. But we'll get there. I went from 217 lean 6-pack to 252 right now. And I definitely don't have a 6-pack. So we will get that back and hopefully be around 230. But the whole goal of this is the ebbs and flows around managing calories to be in a surplus to gain muscle. Now, same thing for losing weight. Let's just say you 2,000 calories, you stay the same weight. Well, if you drop 200 calories a day, you create a deficit of 200 calories a day, times 7. So, you're typically looking at a 1,400 calorie deficit, right? So, in this specific case, if you want to lose weight, you drop that. Now, here's the thing around the holiday time frames, let's just say you're only limited to 1,800 calories, which is a very low amount of calories, by the way. So let's just say you're at 1,800.
That's your future, by the way. Stand by for when Dave's crying about only 1,800 calories a day. Anyway, carry on.
I'm out.
You're looking for that. You son of a bitch.
I had crickets. So the the biggest thing with dropping down to that level of calories is that, let's just say you want to have an amazing, dinner and, snacks and desserts and things like that with your family, but you want to stick within the confines of kind of this framework that you have that will lead you to success the rest of your life. You still got to be on the 1,800 calories. Well, your body doesn't say, well, in 24 hours, I'm going to burn 1,800 calories. What your body says is, I have a surplus of calories or a deficit of calories or a maintenance of calories. And so what you can do over a week time frame is maybe just shave off, let's just say you're at 2,000 calories. Let's just say, and you're at 1,800 at deficit. Let's just say you go to 1,500 a day for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So you do 1,500 a day and you're banking an extra 300 calories every single day, so that the day that you need to eat, let's just say Christmas Day with your family, you have an extra 1,000 calories or 1,500 calories built up that you're not going to, break the bank on, because you've been banking this calories in storage to get your body. Now, there's a few ways to look at this too. I also do believe that there's a topic called refeeding, or eating a day of just total gluttony can help your weight loss as well. So if you're hitting certain thresholds where you're not losing the weight, eating a whole bunch of food for one day and kind of getting your body those nutrients and energy can kind of knock you over also a fall as well. So if you don't do the banking, just having one day of just an amazing day of eating and then going back to your regimen isn't going to hurt you. Now, I say this in the fact that the first time that I did this, I told Ben I'm starving myself for the next 6 months because I broke my rules, because I think I had some pizza and some chips. But
and then you did I think you did an hour on the stair climber at the time.
Yes.
Like, do an hour. I was like, no, don't do that.
First climber. Yeah. I literally punished myself for breaking my truce there. But what I've learned, I've definitely got a little more careful with how I do things now, or a little more, I guess, lenient on how I do things now, that, one day isn't going to break you. But this type of banking, though, is a really good concept, because it teaches you the discipline of shaving down your calories when you need to, eating when you need to, and really breaking, I think, that relationship with food that most people struggle with. I will tell you, obviously I'm in a different stage right now with the bulking side, but I'm going to be complaining here on the podcast very soon when I'm in a deficit. I'm going to be wanting to eat food, right? But the difference is that it's going to be my body asking me for food versus me just going to the cupboard to get food. My relationship with food is completely different now than it ever has been in my entire life, because I know what I need to eat to gain muscle. I know what I need to eat to lose weight and hopefully still maintain muscle. It's a different relationship now. So I eat more to sustain or to hit my objectives than I do to eat for a comfort or a feeling. I don't care about, eating pumpkin pie. I like pumpkin pie, but if I don't eat pumpkin pie, I'm not going to be heartbroken about not eating it. It's not going to judge my day or dictate my day. And I have enough self-control to say, well, I don't have the calories to go and do that right now. I'm going to go and do it. And I've told this story before, but I was on the podcast, or I just done check-in. It was on a Wednesday, and Ben's like, all right, it's time for a cut. I'm like, okay. And, had come from a bulking cycle, and Aaron was like, hey, do you want to go out to Dairy Queen tonight? I'm like, nope, I had my check-in. I'm on a cut cycle. No, I can't. I don't have the calories for it. It's just that flip of a switch. It's the same thing for banking calories. If you know you're going to eat a lot, during the holiday time frames, save up those calories so that you can keep track of it, and then, eat what you need to have a good time with your family and friends in that social environment, and also enjoy the time frame, right? That's what it's all about. And that hard work that you made to bank those calories was the self-control that you had over your body and breaking that relationship with food to get you to the point to be able to handle, a nice day of eating that you're not going to feel guilty on.
Agree. And it all comes, yes, it all comes down to your relationship with food. I think the best way I can put it is zooming out from the day to day, and I do this across the board. It's looking at your calories for the week. So think about having a calorie balance for the week and spending it in the best way that you possibly can. It's like if you got paid every week and you got paid on a Monday and you spent all your money on a Monday and you had no money left for the rest of the week, think about your calories in the same sort of way. If we talk specifically about Christmas, general rule of thumb for banking is, I always say, up to 20% of your calories up to 3 days before the event. So if you got an event on Saturday, then bank your calories Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then you'll have additional calories for whatever the event is. We'll talk about Christmas specifically because that's where we're at. So Christmas is next Monday. So if you're listening to this, today is Tuesday, and potentially some of you have already consumed some calories today, so this might not work. So we'll deal with Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, which gives us 5 days. Say you are consuming 2,000 calories a day as your general calories, that's where you're at. And say on Christmas Day, you're probably going to consume 4,000 calories, which is not unrealistic. The way that I would look at that is I would need to basically save, quote unquote, save 2,000 calories across 5 days. So I'm going to need to take my calories to 1,600 for Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And that'll give me the additional 2,000 calories for Christmas Day. And it's as simple as that. So take 400 calories per day. That takes you to 1,600 calories. And then you have the additional calories for Christmas Day. Now, a couple of points to note. Number one, best way to do it, or how I am going to do it. I find the easiest way is just take a meal out. Because if I'm starting like, okay, I'll take this out and only have this much of this and I'll fluff about here, here, and here, I find that I can just, if I take my breakfast out, which is usually 4 eggs and 1 bagel, that's probably about 470, 500 calories. So if I just take that out for 5 days, then I've basically bought back my calories for Christmas Day. The other thing is remember that the impact that is going to have on your body the days after. And what I mean by that is, don't step on the scale on the day after Christmas Day and be like, oh my God, I've gained 4 pounds. Everything's ruined. The banking calories didn't work. It's not like that. It's not like, but I saved up all my calories and I didn't spend them. Why have I gained weight? It's like all of that food will be in your system. So remember that it will stabilize and normalize off the back of it. The other thing to remember, and I'll quote Adam on this, is he said that you can't out-train a bad diet, but you can fuel a good workout. So if you're going to consume 4,000 calories on Christmas Day, make sure you get a hell of a training session the day after, because you will feel invincible in terms of the strength that you have on that day. Like I said, banking calories is a tool that I use all the time. Like last week, for example, I sat on Sunday and I was like, right, this week, I'm going to Manchester for pretty much 2 days. I'm going out for dinner with Helmy on Friday, and it was Harper's birthday on Sunday. I was like, right, how am I going to spend my calories on the days in between? So Monday, I ate relatively low. Tuesday, I went out for breakfast when I got to Manchester with Alex. Him and I went out for dinner, went out for breakfast again, and then I was home after that. So I spent most of my calories on Tuesday. Thursday, I was back to normal. I just ate like maybe 1,500 calories. I knew that I was going for steak with Helmy. That, okay, yes, it is just steak, but it was a big fucking steak. So yeah, quite a lot of calories in that. Saturday, again, pulled calories down, knowing the fact that I was going to overconsume. On Sunday, eating pizza and cake, because that's what Harper wanted to do. So it's like looking at your weeks and look at the events you coming up and how you can manage it, and sort of preparing for what the week ahead looks like. Now, it's possible and you can do it, but one thing I don't like doing is trying to do it after the fact. So if like yesterday was Sunday and you ate like an asshole and you feel guilty today, you're like, oh my God, I'm only going to need 100 calories all week. I feel really bad. It's like, I would rather not do that, because number one, the guilty thing around food is a negative relationship with food. And also, it's not as fun to bank calories of the thing that you've already done. So always try and do it ahead of time. And the last point that I'll make specifically around Christmas is, and I did this at Thanksgiving, and I didn't actually really think about it until I was called out back when Clinton sent me a voice note or a text me, or actually I was on a call with him. He was like, "You're a sick motherfucker." I was like, "What do you mean?" He goes, "You've been talking to us about banking calories for weeks, and then we bank calories coming up to Thanksgiving, and then on the morning of Thanksgiving you tell us, don't worry about tracking calories." I'm like, well, I thought that I was being kind. But the thought process for me behind that is, if you spent the time this week, for example, banking calories coming up to Christmas Day, obviously it's a time with family, it's a time with friends, whatever you do, it's a day that you want to spend with the people who you're closest to. And the last thing you want to do is worried about how many fucking calories you're eating. If you have banked calories, and for example, if I banked 2,000 calories coming up to the day and my normal calorie allowance is 2,000, if I have 4,000 calories available, I'm probably pretty confident that I can manage that and not overconsume and not really have to track. So don't worry about tracking on the days if you don't want to. And the other side of it is, if you ever consume on Christmas Day, in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't really fucking matter. But be aware of that. It's whenever that starts to become the habit. So Christmas specifically, because it is the day and it is the holidays, or Thanksgiving, or whatever the thing is, like, I'm not really too concerned about it whenever it comes to clients. It's more just knowing they have the tools to manage it. But if it's an every week thing, then that's whenever it starts to become an issue. Because if you're like, okay, yeah, I eat 2,000 calories a day, but once a week I eat 6,000 calories because I'm an asshole, that's going to be over consuming calories. So it's like, I'm in a deficit, 6 days out of 7, and then I'm in a huge surplus on the 7th day, it's not necessarily going to work, because again, you sort of look at your total calorie consumption for the week.
Yeah, it's that consumption aspect, I think, of it that you have to look at, and the math is fairly easy. I mean, if you just say 200 calories a day, for a week, you have, and let's just say it's 5 days, just to make the math easy, you got an extra 1,000 calories, right? And then, start to go and do your thing. It's funny. I saw an Instagram video recently that had me laughing, and it was
not like
a first
you
date
on Instagram videos sending it back and forth.
I've sent you. Just Ben and I on the weekends is sending funny Instagram. But it was a guy going on the first date, and he's super nervous that the girl that he's dating is going to ask him for some popcorn, because he's perfectly measured, his popcorn for his cutting. And so he's got this big bowl of popcorn, and she's got, and he sees the girl take out this thing of like, strips of like, candy or whatever. And he's like, oh, thank God she has her own food, so she's not going to ask me. And then she asked him, like, hey, can I get a couple things of popcorn? And he's like, listen, no. And he's like, I'm sorry, but I measured this perfectly. And she's like, oh, don't worry, I brought a scale with me. And she takes out the scale, and they measure the candy and the popcorn to make sure that he's got the right macros. And then you just see like this love thing, they get married and everything else, So.
Well, actually, a story on that. Whenever Karina and I went on our first date, that she still claims wasn't a date, whatever. We went to the gym, unsurprisingly, and we'd obviously been chatting back and forward before the time. And we were in Gymco, and we sat down after. And I opened my gym bag, and I pull out my Cocoa Pops, which were obviously weighed probably like 150 grams or something like that. Obviously, I had the shit sorted. And then I pulled out this like smaller Tupperware, and I had 60 grams of Cocoa Pops weighed out for her specifically. And I think that sealed the deal. That one exact moment on the first date sealed the deal. Because again, understanding macros, and tracking food. And I actually remember whenever like way back at the start, we used to be like, oh yeah, I'll come up for dinner, and she used to text again, how many calories do you have left? I'm like, yes, this is exactly what it's all about.
It's funny. Like, I love how this type of thing is contagious, because Aaron does the same thing now on a fitness side. My kids now understand macros and what to eat and getting more protein. And, like Gavin, I'm like, dude, just eat everything right now. Whatever you can stuff in your face, just eat it. I don't care what it is. You need to put on some weight. Like, he's just this little skinny boy, but he's getting so tall. Like, he's as tall as his mom now, so he's almost like 6 foot. And so he just got his boot off because he broke his foot. But it's like these things that you start to kind of instill in your kids and your family, as this goes. Again, recipes that I wish I would have known as a kid, because I didn't understand the fundamentals around calories in versus calories out, muscle mass, most ideal situation for muscle mass, what it was going to take.
My question is, why the fuck did they not teach this in school?
Why isn't this like? I mean,
like,
just
of all the useless shit that they teach you in school, like, this is surely something you can use.
Why is this not like health class? I'd be like, all right, let's do a thermodynamic, thermogenesis.
But like, we used to have like home economics, like cooking. Like, why are you not teaching me to cook like 2 perfect macros? Like, I don't need to know how to make a fucking cheesecake. Like, fuck off.
Like, we literally understand how our bodies work. Why is this not a thing?
It's funny because Harper, she's like eating yogurt. She's like, Daddy, do you know what's in this? And I was like, what? It's like lots of protein. I'm like obviously, I mean, she just turned 4 yesterday. And I was like, what does protein do? She's like, gives you big muscles. And then she goes like this. Like to
I love muscles. I love it.
On that topic, I have something, potential total curveball that I want to discuss with you. I was on Instagram, and I watched a short, and it was a conversation between Joe Rogan and I think More Plates, More Dates guy. Apparently, January is World Carnivore Month, and they're all doing the carnivore diet. Now, a couple of people have mentioned carnivore diet to me, and you know me, I don't like that whatsoever, but I'm like, I wonder, is it worth trialing this out for the month of January for the experience? This, you as my coach, I'm coming live to you with this as a discussion right now.
So does it mean that you are asking to do?
I'm not asking. I'm just like,
you're trying to hook me into.
No, not at all. That's a lot. Like, I mean, if you're going to eat 4,000 calories with the meat, it's a lot of meat. But I'm just approaching the symptoms, putting it into the atmosphere.
Well, there's obviously benefits of trying anything. The carnivore diet, for a lot of folks, has been very successful.
Just imagine how many delicious steaks you would eat. Yes, and the carbs are delicious, and I do know that. But it's like a couple of people mentioned, I'm like, is it worth? I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it because it's going to be a way of life for me. I'm doing it to see what it's all about. Like, I guess, to continue the experiment.
Absolutely, man. And that's the thing with this whole health journey, is like trying new things that, you know, get you to a different point or different ability to do something different that you've never tried before. And that's what this whole thing's about, right? This whole experiment. But you know, it's interesting because I did keto for quite a long time, which is very similar to carnivore, obviously just incorporating cheeses. And
it's just carnivore,
you know,
that plus cheese.
Plus cheese. That's like literally it. That's all I cared about. But the funny part about that though was when I was doing the keto thing, I was like, man, this is amazing. Like meats and cheeses all day long. Like I could just that's all I want. Like in life. I mean, this is everything.
This is the greatest thing ever.
Yeah. And then month 2, I'm like, this sucks. This is the worst thing ever. I don't want to ever eat meat again. You know, but I mean, at the end of the day, like those so restrictive things, I think, are not having the flexibility of doing something. It's big. Now it's funny. Dr. Lane Norton recently just did a video recently of going against that one dude that you had mentioned. Let me see.
Gary Brecker.
It's Dana White. No, Dana White's the UFC guy.
Yeah, Gary Brecker is the guy, the 10X guy.
Yeah. Gary Brecka. And Gary Brecka had a comment basically saying that, you know, if you do intermittent fasting, it will reduce your chances of Alzheimer and cancer by like 70%. And Dr. Lane Norton's like, this is totally bullshit. Like, there's nothing to support this, whatever. He's like, ooh, free radicals, he's like, no, what this means is if you do anything that's a calorie restriction, regardless of it intermittent fasting or you eat a shit ton of carbs and protein, but it's under your, you know, total daily energy expenditure, then you're going to see the benefits of that, of the free radicals, of your body doing this. And he's like, but guess what? As soon as you start eating again from your intermittent fasting, it's going to make you more insulin insensitive, which is then going to cause the issues that you're seeing here. So he's like, if you can stay at intermittent fasting, i.e. starve yourself for the rest of your life, you definitely can probably do that. So, you know, it was an interesting breakdown. And, you know, Gary Breck has a lot of good stuff, I think. You know, he comes out with a lot of cool things that I like, but Dr. Lane Norton is definitely very saucy with him. And it was cancer, 10 to 20% reduction, 70% reduction in Alzheimer's. Oh, no, I'm sorry. He claimed it was fasting reduces risk of cancer and Alzheimer's by 70%, but it's actually more like 10%, but not unique to fasting, just caloric restriction. And a lot of this comes down to that study we talked about in mice, where they took mice that had caloric restriction their entire life and mice that had free access to food, and they had all the neurodegenerative issues and obesity issues and, you know, insulin insensitivity, and caused all of the issues that we see with cancer and everything else because they were overweight and obese. Whereas, you know, if you're able to keep your weight under control and you're able to, you know, be in a restrictive type of diet that doesn't, you know, you're not always overfeeding yourself in every way, then you're probably going to live a lot longer. That seems to be the data. It doesn't matter whether it's intermittent fasting. And what Dr. Lane Norton was breaking down is that IF has, and this has been proven in the latest studies. There was a study that came out that they thought IF may be kind of like the magic bullet, where it would burn more calories than a caloric restricted diet. But what they've actually shown is that there's no difference between intermittent fasting and caloric restriction. Now, you know, there are some benefits of IF, you know, especially when you get into the 24-hour period, where you start to get some, you know, insulin sensitivity bumps. You get some increases in human growth hormone and testosterone, but it's very temporary. It's not long lasting. So, you know, if you're into, if intermittent fasting works for you, fantastic. It's a tool, just like counting calories and caloric restriction is a tool. They all work the same way and have the same benefits. There's nothing really better than one or the other. Nothing magic about intermittent fasting. And that's been proven through a lot of the research and data. So it just goes to show you what works for you the best is what you should stick with, right? So if it's carnivore diet, you know, just try it out, see if it works for you. And, you know, you might find out like, holy crap, my energy levels, my dopamine levels, you know, I don't have a crash in the afternoon. My body responds much better from a carnivore perspective than it does, you know, the current things that I was doing. You know, what I found for me in diet wise that is big is that as soon as I work out on a fasted stomach. And everybody says, don't work out on a fasted stomach. I always work on a fasted stomach and it works perfect for me. And there's data around that. So there's data that some people work good on a fasted stomach. I find that if I have food beforehand, I'm sluggish and I don't perform as much as I should. So, but when I get done eating, I have to have, a heavy carb meal along with heavy protein. I eat 80 grams of protein and, probably 70 grams of carbs, for my meal of post-workout meal, right? And that sustains me for the rest of the day. It kind of sets it off. And every time I need energy, whether it's lunch or dinner, I hit carbs, but I hit heavy protein as well. So that, and I do low fat. So low fat, high protein, high carbohydrates seems to win in everything. So that's the way I kind of go.
You said do it or don't do it?
What's that?
You said do it or don't do it?
Well, do it. Go for it. Try it out. I'd love to hear that. I'd love to hear it. I'm not going to do it.
No.
Congratulations.
No, it is genuinely just from a curiosity perspective. But I think you hit the nail on the head. It's about the tools. Do you know what I mean? It's like, each of these things will force you to restrict your calories in some way, shape, or form. And whatever fucking brand or diet or fad or thing that you want to label it as, it still comes down to the very basics of just managing your calories. And this is the thing that frustrates me. It's because it's like, and actually, I guess in my maturity, we'll say I've gone away from just being pissed off at people who say, keto's the way or whatever. And I think that the thing about it is if me, for example, if I had struggled with my weight my entire life and I've tried everything and then all of a sudden I try keto and I lose 100 pounds, to me, it's the holy fucking grail. This is the way that you have to do it. And I just want to share this message because I've had so much success from it. And that's, I'm assuming, where a lot of the people are mentioning specific diets and the fads and that sort of how it works. So I'm not as, I guess, I don't really care really if I'm honest, but I'm not as invested or not as worried about these things. And I think it just comes down to finding the thing that works for you. So I have people and they come to me like, no, I have had great success with intermittent fasting. I'm like, fucking cool. Like even what I've just said about coming up to Christmas, like for 5 days, I'll just probably not eat my breakfast. Like, does that mean that I'm now, should put in my Twitter bio, does intermittent fasting, 16-8, like I now identify as someone who does intermittent fasting, or I just don't eat my breakfast. So it's like finding the things that you can use and the tools that you have to manage your calories. And if it is fasting, whether it's daily or whether it is extended fasting or whether it is keto or whether it is I only eat carbohydrates, respect, more power to you. And I think it is just about the tools and overall the thing to do that is managing your calories.
That's basically it. At the end of the day, it's managing calories in one way or the other. And, the thing that you have to, and this is the thing that I always struggled with, I think, going into it was, I'd get into a cycle where I'd be so on a restrictive diet like keto, like intermittent fasting, and I'd be good for like a month and I'd drop weight or things were going well in a positive manner. But then I'd have like, Christmas or holidays and I would just pack on the weight, and I'd eat and I'm like, it's just one day. It's just 2 days. I'll get to it next week. Fuck it, I'm done. And that's the mindset I think a lot of folks get into. And so when you think about it, this allows you to be still within the same system, but still work to do what you want to do to eat, right? And it took me a long time to not to have days where maybe I went over, if that makes sense. Because I didn't trust myself. And not totally lose my mind because I didn't trust myself, right? Because I'd failed so many other times. But what I can tell you now is that, years into this, that it's just second nature to me about what I eat. I know that if I need to lose weight, I will lose weight. And I will stick to the calories that I have. And I remember the first few months of this, I'd be staring at the calories. And I'm like, well, shit, I only have 100 calories, but I still got 100 calories. So what can I eat that's gonna give me 100 calories? Like I'm starving right now, and I like think about food.
I've got 3 pretzels and 5 grams of jam.
That's exactly what I think. Like, all right, I got a Greek yogurt and 4 pretzels. I'm good to go here. Right? So,
nailed it. Snacks. Hashtag
that's the way
snacks.
I think. Yeah, and there were times where, especially when I was doing my cutting down the very first time, where it was breaking up that relationship with food. And it does get easier. It does get much less challenging. In your body, and you get used to being hungry. That's the thing. I think that's the difference, is that, like, I know what hungry feels like, but I don't care about what that feels like. Like, I don't need to do it for an emotional thing. I need to do it to sustain what my goals are. And I know my body has plenty of nutrients, especially now that I got a little bit extra body fat here. Like, and I can feel it right there. But
that's okay. We know how to get rid of it.
You know how to get rid of it, and it's going to get rid of. Trust me, it's going to go away very quickly. And for what Ben has planned for me, I have a feeling it's going to go back much quicker than I think. But it's one of those things that relationship with you and food has to be broken, and it's going to take some time, but it becomes second nature like anything else. When you learn how to ride a bike, when you learn how to shoot a basketball for the first time, or you're learning to code a different language, you're not perfect or amazing at it when you first go and do it. It takes some time to get used to it as kind of the new norm or a new habit that you're introducing in your life, and your body will fight you for it. But at the end of the day, you learn off of what you build upon. And if you have a solid framework, i.e. calories in versus calories out, and understanding macronutrients, this works well. And banking is a technique that I will use very often, especially if I know I'm going out with customers. If I'm going out with a customer and I know I'm going to have, 2 cocktails, a steak and maybe some potatoes and, some asparagus, I'm probably not going to do the desserts, right? Or maybe I have enough for desserts. It doesn't matter.
Yes, you do.
I can eat whatever the hell I want to right now. I'm gonna have 2 desserts, and 2 steaks. But it's not always that way. And those are the things that system at least provides us for it. And banking calories is a way for you to really stay consistent with it until you break that relationship with food.
Agree. And again, it's just a tool in the toolbox. And this is, another reason that I like to work with clients on an extended period of time, because we go through the literal seasons and the seasons of life. So it's like holidays will come up, or vacation will come up, or work event will come up, or kid's birthday, or insert whatever thing it is. And it's like, how do we navigate these things, and what framework and systems do we need so that they know that they have the confidence to manage it way beyond their time working together? And that's, that's why it's an education process. That's why it's 12 months long. That's why I always hammer home about, understanding what your body needs, when it needs it, and what that looks like in both phases, whether it's a surplus or a deficit.
Yep. That's it.
Yeah.
Now you got the concept. Now you got the understanding about how to bank calories, and everything else that comes along with it. But it is doable. It is something that keeps you within that framework. And at the end of the day, if keto works for you, fantastic. If intermittent fasting works for you, fantastic. If carnivore works for you, fantastic. But just know at the end of the day, none of those matter. It's calories in versus calories out. One of them doesn't have a benefit over the other, unless you're talking things like, hey, I'm a diabetic. Something like keto is phenomenal for diabetics, right? Carnivore diet's phenomenal for diabetics. If you're not a diabetic, it's not phenomenal for you. But I mean, again, controlling, at the end of the day, if you can keep ApoB and your insulin sensitivity and your HDL and LDL cholesterols within check, you will live a long time. Like, that's pretty much what the data says, right? So if you keep your insulin sensitivity high, and you keep your HDL and LDL in a balanced fashion, your ApoB level is fantastic. It's under 60 milligrams per deciliter, I think is what it is. Under 60, that was where you go. You're going to live a long time. And those are good benchmarks to do. And seeing how your body reacts to getting blood work done. And especially if you're doing something like keto, go get your blood work done. Is your LDL and HDL off whack? If it is, keto is probably not the best thing for you, right? So those are the things to take a look at as you start to figure out what foods react better to you. For me, carbohydrates and protein, best thing for me. But again, I know folks that, work really well off of fats and proteins. Protein, 100% staple. That's got to be the number one first thing, right? You need to get your protein goals to maintain muscle mass and to build that up and to increase your calories over time. But after that, that's basically what you need to focus on. So that's it. Hey, that was a quick podcast. I felt like it was like
happy Christmas to everybody.
Merry Christmas,
holidays,
Happy New Year, Happy
ho,
Hanukkah, happy holidays, and all that good stuff, or whatever you celebrate here at Hacking Your Health. Hope you're spending some time with the family. I love this time of the year. But thanks all for what an incredible year with all of us this year. A lot of progress. Seeing a lot of folks doing some amazing things and posting their successes. So keep it up, everybody. You motivate us every single day, and share some time with the family and eat some cake. Bank those calories and eat some cake.
Let us know your calorie banking experience. Tag us on Twitter at WeHackHealth, #WeHackHealth, all that WeHackHealth. See you next week.
Later all. See you next week.